All right, the research we're doing in fantasy football is only magnifying in importance as we inch closer and closer to your fantasy playoffs. In learning lessons through the first 11 or so weeks, one very important thing we need to acknowledge is who we were just flat out wrong about. Which expectations fell on their face. These players flipped a complete 180 on us, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Here we go. Russell Wilson. I don't know if there's another name in fantasy football or in the NFL that had a greater negative connotation to it like Russell Wilson did. Coming out of last year, he goes to the Mile High City going into the 2022 season. And don't get me wrong, he looked like straight garbage. We saw career lows across the board for him. Memes were dropping from the sky. Justin Tucker was clowning him for doing lunges on a plane on the way to a game. But let's just stick to the facts here about Russ, all right? Not only is Russ breaking out this year in 2023, 19 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, one of the best touchdown-interception ratios we've seen this year, and overall just one of the more productive quarterbacks in the market. But Russ is 11 for 12. What do I mean by that? He's had 11 great, solid, or better seasons in the NFL than most to just one horrible one. And all right, it was bad, but that's better than 90%. I mean, the man is leading his team on game-winning drives. We just saw it yesterday. The guy is on pace for over 30 passing touchdowns this season, which would double his total from 2022. And for us now, Russell Wilson is worth more than he was 2 months ago, way more than he was 2 months ago as a fantasy quarterback. If you have this guy in Dynasty Fantasy Football, one of two things happen for you. He's surpassed the other quarterbacks on your roster in productivity, or he is an elite backup for you. If you've got Josh Allen, if you've got Jalen Hurts, if you've got Patrick Mahomes. Take advantage of this surplus of value and move on if you'd like, but history shows Russ is very reliable. 11 for 12, not too shabby. CJ Stroud's up next. In a world where people constantly complain about how we need to cut down on these meaningless preseason games, we all made sure to criticize CJ Stroud on just how horrible his preseason performances were. The man was being declared a bust from the very beginning. The Ohio State curse was going to come and grab another victim, being Stroud. Yeah, that's not happening, at least so far. Stroud is the volume king of the NFL right now. He's slinging it with the best when you look at overall passing yards on the season and passing yards per game. And in my opinion, he's one of the safest options you could get out there right now. When I see a spread this wide for a team like the Texans in the situation that Stroud's in right now, that tells me that CJ Stroud is completely fine if Nico Collins goes down for a game or if Tank Dell goes down for a game. Because he's got 4 other options, and that's happened, by the way. He's got 4 other options that he is comfortable throwing to and has thrown to on a consistent basis. He's getting reps in with a lot of different personnel. This is a high-flying offense in Houston. Stroud looks confident, and we should be ashamed of ourselves for judging him so harshly. I do say we. I'm included in this. You can go on this channel, go back to my preseason quarterback rankings from about 3 months ago. I put the man dead last, 32nd. Jaylen Warren's next. This can be exclusive to Week 11, but it also really shouldn't be. Jaylen Warren, from an efficiency perspective, is far and away the better back on this team over Najee Harris. That's not a secret anymore. Going into this year, I was insisting that a lot of you should be Jaylen Warren buyers. Go get his stock while the value is fair. I wasn't talking about him like he was primed for a crazy year, though. I was not expecting this. If you went out and you got Jaylen Warren early on or, on a late pick in the draft, he was probably a later grab that ended up being your RB4 or 5. That's exactly what he was valued at. That's just not the case anymore. Now, here's my pitch to keep this guy or find a way to go get him if he's not on your team right now. I see this guy only rising in stock. Let's look over the environment he's in. The Steelers' offense is horrible. Kenny Pickett is struggling to throw the ball with any type of effectiveness past the sticks. The Steelers have been outgained by so many of their opponents this year. The offense in general is really hard to look at. But guess what else? Along with the lack of volume competition, this is a winning football team. Not only is the volume competition, specifically in the passing game, not much of a threat at all. Matter of fact, I'd declare it dead. But when the final minutes roll around in most games, Pittsburgh is the team trying to run the clock out. And that's where Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris get their touches. That gives Warren more chances, though, in general. Now, if you're trying to buy him, I would argue you can still get Jaylen Warren at a decent price because for somebody who's averaging 6.2 yards per carry, he's not being treated like it. The Steelers still gave Najee Harris more touches than Jaylen Warren this week, despite the fact he was vastly outperformed, and the two are essentially being used evenly at the moment. While that's happening, go in and get him if you're in Dynasty. Aaron Jones is next. This one hurts. I want to say first and foremost that I will stand by my claim from the beginning of the year. A healthy Aaron Jones thrives on volume and is the volume king of this Packers offense. Love is in his first year as a starter. There is no Green Bay wide receiver significantly older than me, and for those of you wondering, I am 22 years old. Luke Musgrave, he's a rookie. Until a game against the worst passing offense in the league and the Chargers happened, Green Bay was significantly struggling to push the ball vertically. If only they had a veteran, receiving-oriented running back who could ease the stress with some high percentage throws, checkdowns, and breakout runs. Yet that's Aaron Jones. That's what Aaron Jones has been his entire career since he took over the starting job. And we saw exactly what I expected from him this whole year in week 1 against the Bears. Then he tweaked the hamstring. Since then, it's been injury, lack of usage, probably due to injury, and more injury. Yeah, it's frustrating, but we can't really control the guy's health. And now I'll go to Kadarius Toney as we go out to the wide receivers. This one just made too much sense for me coming in. Kadarius Toney let us down. Okay, I will just be as simple as that. I, along with many others, felt that Kadarius Toney had the ceiling of having around a 1,000-yard season. Juju Smith-Schuster leaves, and it's just Travis Kelce and whoever else wants to become the favorite for one of the best quarterbacks to ever live in Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, well, the depth chart said that was going to be Kadarius Toney, that he was supposed to be the secondary option. The open field speed said that was Kadarius Toney. Well, drop issues and more injuries, of course, failed us. Instead, it has been Rashid Rice and a cast of other people, Watson as well, competing and taking out Toney as that secondary option. Also, instead of having somebody be that second dominant force in the receiving game, the Chiefs have dialed it back, and they're actually relying on the run a little bit more, so we're seeing, obviously, Isaiah Pacheco do phenomenal relative to his expectations. We will wrap up with Quentin Johnston. It's pretty early to make a full report on Quentin Johnston, but that fourth quarter drop he had against the Packers, in my opinion, very accurately summarizes his season so far. A first-round draft pick for another volume thrower like Justin Herbert, one of the better QBs in the league, especially fantasy-friendly-wise, and what happens? He only gets more opportunity as the weeks have gone on. Mike Williams goes down first couple weeks of the season. He's out for the year. Joshua Palmer goes down a few weeks ago. He's on the IR. Austin Eckler, who had north of 100 targets a season ago, goes down, and he still looks hurt. That tells me that in a Kellen Moore-led offense, that a rookie first-round wide receiver is going to do pretty well. Well, I apologize, folks. Even I was saying go and grab him a couple of weeks ago because the stars were just aligning for something good to happen for this great prospect out of college. The book's not written on him yet, but I really thought Quentin Johnston would have been a top 25, top 30 option with obviously two of the better and more prominent receivers on this offense going down. I apologize. I was very wrong.